March Madness, college basketball. We've got a ton of games to go through for today, leading up to Selection Sunday tomorrow. Kelly Stewart, WagerTalk.com. Gianni the Greek, I'm just going to bring him right in. Bring him in early here, early and often, because we missed him last week. VR, I'm glad you are feeling better. The chat was going nuts. They were pissed off that you weren't here to bring us your steam as well as some UFC. This UFC card, I don't know if it's as we'll say it's okay. I got some stuff from John Murray I want to run by you, but first, let's get right into it. We've got the guys from Full Court Press coming in after you, but for 10, 15 minutes, I really just want to hit what the sharp guys played. I've got my list from Art, and I'm ready to hear it.
Perfect. Disclaimer first, tell you when I win and I always tell you when I lose. Now, over the last 3 days, I'm down in college basketball. I've given out 15 bets. I'm 6-9, so 3 games under 500. But if you zoom out a little bit, I'm up over the last 10 days, over the last 30 days, and over the last season. We're number 1 in college basketball for the season. So that's key. I'm trusting my power ratings and the information. With that said, going into this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, there's a ton of value, but you got to be very selective because you're going to see movement on every one of these games, but that doesn't mean there's a sharp position on every one of them. Like the opportunity to middle, to scalp is so easy on boards like this that you're going to see line movement on every game, but there isn't a move, a position taken on every game, if that makes sense. Here are some of the signs that are already in your Steam sheet today. Let's get to the extra board because one just got hit today, right now. 306, 545, under 150.5, Prairie View and Southern. They also took Southern -3. Now, I like Southern because it matches up with my power ratings. I have Southern -4.5, but I haven't released to subscribers as a premium because I'm trying to narrow down the strongest ones based on the line and my power ratings that also are confirmed with the betting syndicates. Like when it all lines up, our results have been best. And finally, Vermont, 306, 544, Vermont. I gave them out as a 3% to my subscribers at +3. That got hit again while I was sitting there talking with Kelly before we jumped in. So I doubt the three's still there. Now, regular board games, 628 Akron -7, 625 Connecticut -3, 611 Purdue -7, 608 VCU -6, 631 Kennesaw State -1.5, and money line. A couple totals for you. 601 over 162.5 Cornell Yale. 626 over 140.5 in that Connecticut St. John's. And finally, 622 over 137.5 Houston and Arizona. It's early. A lot is still yet to come because bettors are still getting to the window. The influx of recreational bettors right now at March Madness over this next 10 days, once those lines come up for the big dance, like the influx of recreational money, it's what we talked about on the Super Bowl, where the betting syndicate, the odds makers don't give a shit what the betting syndicates are doing. Obviously, sure, they care a little bit, but there's so much public money outweighing it that they could afford to make some mistakes, and it's not going to cost them like it would on a normal day, you know, like an extra board game where it's just the sharps versus the books. So yeah, there's going to be a ton of betting opportunities for you, but don't be much in a rush because we're looking at that kind of market where the public money is going to affect a lot of these lines once they start unloading. And it's a little early yet, but rest assured, the money will start coming in as the day goes on.
It is a little early only because we normally start the show at 11 a.m. Eastern. We already have 2 games that have tipped off, and then we don't have another set until noon. So, or excuse me, till 1 p.m. Eastern. So, Nick, we will get to your question here in just a little bit. Let's let a little bit more populate, kind of see what VR can see on his back end. I want to just do a quick pivot because I want to talk some UFC.
Please.
Last week's UFC was, I didn't think it was all that great. I watched a couple of the fights, and I overall wasn't impressed. I had a couple of big underdogs that I thought might have cashed that did not. 3 fighters that John Murray gave me, and I'm curious to see, and I know they've all been steamed into oblivion, but 2 of them I think you can probably do a little money line parlay, and I wanted to ask you about that. Anders He said they got around even money, now minus 130. Or they laid 130, now it's even higher. I got to double check that one. I do not have my odds logic screen set up for UFC. Of course, I have it set up for college basketball. And then Smith and Rollby. I don't know if I said that one correctly. So I just was curious if anything was coming up for you for this UFC card. We know that you are the king of UFC here on WagerTalk.
I am not surprised that they're on Rollby and on Smith. Because they were going to get money. Here's the issue right now in the UFC, and I'm not surprised that you bet those dogs last week, Kelly, because favorites are way ahead. They're almost at it. Hit it even last week that it was 8 favorites, 4 dogs. We're still at close to 80% favorites. So these favorites, they're juicing them up a little bit to where you kind of see value on the dogs. But again, you're talking money lines, not point spreads, and getting close isn't enough. You know what I mean? You can't keep it close.
80% favorites is a absolute wild stat.
It's costing them so much because you got to remember, Kel, they're putting you got 13 fights on the card. When 80% of them are favorites, that means 9 or 10 of the 13 fights cashed with the favorite. So that means they cashed a lot of 5, 6, 7, 8 team money line parlays.
Yeah.
That ends up costing the books a lot. That's why you're looking at some shaded favorites, even when these lines opened, and even more so today. Again, I'm not surprised to see, like John Murray say, they got out on Smith, they got out on Rollby, because I think those lines will continue to move in that direction because the public's going to bet them as well. So if these guys are getting out ahead, they're going to end up with a ton of CLV in their pocket. The one I don't love is the Anders fight, and here's why. Because you were able to get him as a dog earlier in the week, so you had a lot of time to get him at plus money, and now you got to lay minus 120. But more importantly, he's already talked about retirement fight. This is his retirement fight. And me and Andy talked about it yesterday. We could only think of 2 fighters in the last decade that said they were retiring that actually won that retirement fight. I think we went back like 20 years and we only came up with 2. So it's not a trend you really want to bank on. Again, getting them at plus money, sure, I get it. It's a coin flip type of fight for sure. 2 veterans at the end of their career. But now laying the 130, I don't like it. The 120. For me, I think it's dog Tavares or pass.
All right, when is bet on it going up? Great question by Ed Olson, 539. My dad's best friend was named Ed Olson. That's random. That being said, we're going to be out Tuesday. We're filming Tuesday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern. We're filming live to tape, so we'll be out Tuesday afternoon. We're going to bring you guys our best bet from Thursday, our best bet from Friday, give you guys hopefully some barking dogs, and please, for the love of God, VR, I need to see some upsets this year. Last year, albeit I was happy to cash that Florida 40-1 ticket. Seeing all 4 1 seeds in the Final Four, we'll see. Do you think it's going to be more of the same this year? I'm running a March Madness Survivor over on Splash. $25 to enter, $250,000 guaranteed, and there is a massive overlay right now. Splashsports.com/Kelly in Vegas. But what happened 2 years ago when we started it, right out of the gate, Duquesne beats BYU, bloodbath ensues. We had to do a revival because it was over so early. Last year, we had a bunch of people tie because it was so chalky. You do a ton with power ratings for college basketball, and I'm curious, what do you think this March Madness is going to look like? Do you think it's going to be the cream just rises to the top, the Floridas, the Michigans, the Dukes of the world are just that much better because of NIL, because of the transfer portal? Or do you think we are going to see some Cinderellas and some upsets?
Ton of parity. We will see some upsets, but later in the tournament, when some of these teams that are lower ranked than they should be end up winning in what I didn't think was a huge upset, but I think based on the rankings, it's going to look like huge upsets. And here's why. Take Duke out of the equation, okay? I already talked about them for the last 2 months. I thought they were the best team then. I still think they're the best team now. And I make them about a 1.5, almost 2-point favorite over anybody on a neutral field. With that said, you take Arizona, you take Florida, you take Michigan, you take Houston. All those 4 teams are within a 0.5 point of each other. And then throw in Gonzaga, Iowa State, Purdue, Illinois, Tennessee, Connecticut. All those within 1.5 point of each other. So I just rattled off 10, 12 teams that are all within 3 points of each other, not even like a layup, a bucket of each other. That's going to take, and you're talking about 60-minute, 40-minute college basketball game, not a series. There's going to be a lot of randomness that ends up winning some basketball games instead of talent. I'm not sure if talent's going to rise to the top. Eventually, it will be a top team. It's not going to be a 12 seed that wins the national championship. But other than Duke, talking about who's a 1, who's a 2, who's a 3, they're all really, really close with each other.
Let's talk about this, VR. I love questions like this because VR, you said Alabama was a top 10 team, but then they lost to Ole Miss. Shout out to Adam Trigger, by the way. He had the plus 11.5. I don't know if he had anything on the money line, but even I was shocked. Wire to wire outright winner.
They're still top 10,
Okay, so you're not going to downgrade them at all.
I did. I actually did. And right now they're at 10. I actually had them at 8th.
Okay. So you dropped them 2 power ratings. Really quickly, let everybody know about the steam room today. Free for everyone.
Join me today because it's free. It's absolutely free. And what I have going today is simple. I put the steam sheet up so I could share all the information that comes in because I know a lot of guys cap their own matchups and want to use me for confirmation, like I'm able to use the betting syndicates. With that said, I haven't put up a daily package today, even though I've given out 3 4% and 2 3%, because I'm going through the board. Like, this is a great opportunity for us to make money over the next couple of weeks. And secondary is selling for me. My goal right now is to increase the profit as much as I can for the guys that partnered up with me long term, because this is a golden window for us over these next couple of weeks. So join me in the steam room. I'm going to go over the game plan for that. We're going to go over year-to-date results. We're up about 70 units for the year overall, sitting nicely. We'll go over our risk management, a live open Q&A. Ask me whatever you want. And more importantly, I'm going to give you what's not on the steam sheet, meaning the steam sheet's all stuff that's from the accounts. I'm going to go through the strong leans that I have based on power ratings alone. I have some sides and some totals that I have right here sitting on the side that if a play comes in on them, I'm firing. For example, I like over 137.5 Houston, Arizona. If that comes in, I know to bet it. I like over 158.5 Toledo, Akron. That comes in, I know to bet it. So I have a lot of sides and totals that I'm going to share with you in the steam room. And again, great information. It's free. Join me there. And more importantly, join long-term. They got a great deal going. You get the blackjack as well, all the steam rooms. And 2026, the goal is to double up the bankroll as quickly as possible. That's 400 units. We're a quarter of the way there almost.
All right, VR. And one other question I had for you do you have anything loaded over on Sportsmemo? Right now, Sportsmemo is our new $7 marketplace site. And if you are actively watching the show, you get this coupon code SAT50, SAT50, that's going to get you 50% off anything that you guys want today over at Sportsmemo. So if it's VR, if it's Trig, if it's Veno, if it's all three, you guys are going to get 50% off.
Yeah, I've taken that so seriously since I said this about 2 weeks ago that I'm going to use Sportsmemo for those guys that want to do it or use sports betting as an investment vehicle, but just don't have the bankroll to pay for information. But I'm going to put, when I have something really strong that would have sold for, $29, $25, I'm going to put it over there. Since then, I've only put 5 plays up. We're 5-0 over there. So I've been very selective. I'm not going to stay at 100%, but I'm staying very selective. There will be a college basketball today because I do have a handful of really strong plays that I'm working on confirming. So make sure you go over there, hit refresh, because I'm only putting a play up as soon as I have a confirmation of a really strong play. So I'm trying to get one up daily. Obviously, I don't have something every single day that I could put up there. But when it's up, you're getting a great deal for $7. You're getting, like I said, something that I would have put up for 25, 29, 35 anywhere else.
All right. I love it. You guys can catch more of VR every single day on WagerTalk today. And then you guys are going to be back to watch Bet On It with me, him, and Marco, our March Madness edition. It's going to be a good one, so you're not going to want to miss that one over on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Again, guys, don't forget, go check out the Steam Room. Go over to sportsmemo.com. SAT50 gets you 50% off anything. VR, thank you.
Thanks,
and we will see you on Tuesday. All right, guys from Full Court Press coming in hot. We've got lots of college basketball to go over. I know we've already got 2 games that have started. So Trig jumped in the comment section early and said, you guys got to check out, I think it was Yale. I don't know. It was too early for me to be talking about Ivy League basketball. Good morning, Adam Trigger, Rob Veno.
What's up? Yeah, all I was saying is, I mean, if you missed that, you probably missed it because there's 30 points in the first 5 minutes of the game. I was saying the over made a lot of sense. So if you saw that, you're probably off to a good start because I don't think anyone's missed a shot yet. In that
all right.
game.
Well, we like good starts, and we're going to start off hot with our good friend Garth right here. 18 and run on Full Court Press plays. Let's cook 603, 604 Penn Harvard looking at the under 136.5. 6 and 22 to the under in conference play is wow. That sounds like Ivy League basketball. Rob Veno, do you want to talk about this one, or do you want to pass it off to Adam Trigger?
Sounds like Trig wanted to jump in quick. Go get him, Adam.
I just want to make sure you know that Ethan Roberts has been ruled out for the Ivy tournament. So I'll actually let Rob go because it's a totals question, but like he's so important to what Penn wants to do. And he's already, not only has he been ruled out for today, he's been ruled out for the entire postseason. He had like concussion symptoms come back, and they've already said he's done for the year. So I would have liked Penn in this game, but without him, both of these regular season meetings were so close. You take out their best player. It's tough to like Penn. I don't know, Rob, do you think under there without him? Because he is a lot of what Penn wants to do on offense.
Yeah, and it makes a ton of sense because Tommy Amaker's team, they want to play defense first. Fran McCaffrey and Penn closed the season really strong, Adam. You and I have talked about this, where their offense seemed to find the cohesion. Not necessarily an Iowa Hawkeye offense, but where Ivy League terms into context with Ivy League terms, they've been really, really good as of late. But again, Roberts is a big subtraction. Harvard's a defensive or predicated in defense. So it's hard to sit and think that Penn is going to come out shooting really well against this team. It's hard to think that Penn's going to be able to have pace against this team. First couple of games were both played in the 120s, which is, significantly under what the price tag on the total is today. So again, you start adding up all those elements, and under makes a heck of a lot of sense. We're not going to argue with Garth, though. We say this every day, Kelly. Even if we come in with a handicapping process that might be a little bit different than what Garth is suggesting, we're never talking people off of what he's throwing up there because he's been red hot, as indicated by that little chat room text.
You know who also has been red hot, and Veno, I don't mean to push you to the wayside, but I've been told that Adam Trigger has been on a little bit of a heater himself. So I'll let Trig promote that here, as well as getting both of you guys through March Madness, $198. And no, that's not listed on the site, wt.buzz/Full Court Press FCP.
Yeah, I've said this on the show numerous times. I mean, Rob carried us in November and December. I did not have a good November, December, while Rob was probably like number 1 or number 2 on the site during that stretch. So, it all comes back around at some point. I'm 8-0 the last 3 days. It's nice that it's happening now, Kelly, because there's a lot of eyes on it, but it's no different than, Rob going nuts through November and December. And he carried our little duo. So, again, it's just, right now, last 3 days has been really good. I have another 5%er today. I think the package for the most part has been really solid, especially in, since we've really started to promote the package, I think starting in January, when that was like up for 3 days, all access, any 3 days. And now you can get the rest of the season through March Madness. I think if you're betting college basketball, certainly if you've been following along on this site, that's the way to go. And if you do it today, you get my 5% play in that package. And I don't think so someone asked this. I want to make sure I'm clear about this. And Kelly, you can confirm if I'm correct or not. You'll just skip Monday because there's no games. Like it just automatically will push it ahead on a pass. I'm almost positive. So,
well, I think if you buy the $198 package, it doesn't matter. You're getting
it doesn't matter, right?
Through the
but if you buy the 3 day, you'll actually get today, Sunday, Tuesday.
Yes, correct. Yeah, if there's no plays, that counts, and then it moves to the next day. You are correct. The comment section is asking for my play. so that they can fade it. Yeah, that might be kind of smart. I've kind of cooled off a little bit. I've also lost 4 games by the hook in the last 48 hours. So I'd like to not talk about some of those first half totals and or Oklahoma second half as I was going to bed last night. That was a frustrating one there. Iowa State did get it done for me though. So I will take that. Guys, are we doing a parlay today? Is there enough games?
Of course.
Okay.
We
all right.
absolutely
Then
are.
I'm gonna let Rob Veno go first. Rob Veno, give us your leg of the parlay, and I'm gonna go over to the odds logic screen and try to find one that I agree with, probably on Art's list, because that makes a lot more sense than me racking my own brain.
All right, so let's just say here that I always have a couple to choose from, but today I'm going to go ahead and give you guys. Let's go to the MAC. I think the MAC is the proper place to go with my leg of the parlay here. Akron and Toledo. I feel, guys, like Akron has probably cleared the largest hurdle that they'll have to clear en route to an NCAA tournament bid. Obviously, we all wanted to see Miami of Ohio in this game. They are not here. It's going to be Toledo. These teams only met once during the regular season, Mid-American Conference schedule being what it is. Akron did win that game 91-81. Akron has been absolutely lights out defensively as of late. Last 5 games, tremendous on defense. Last night, only allowed 29.7% from the field to Kent, which in my estimation was a much tougher ask than what they're going to see in Toledo here. Major advantages here, guys, in this game, especially on the boards for Toledo. And if you want to be more specific, you look at their offensive board work, where they're the best offensive rebounding team inside the Mid-American, and Toledo's 12th in defensive rebounding. One thing you don't want to give Akron is second chances at the hoop, simply because they're basically the best shooting team in the league. First in 3-point shooting, second in 2-point shooting. When you have a team that can shoot it that well, last thing you want to give them is second chances. Toledo, not a great year for them. They're middle of the pack in just about everything. They don't play with as much pace as they once did. Akron's the team that will try and push tempo here, number 2 in the league. So as you go through it, and I don't think that there's any fatigue level with Akron here either. I think Akron has all along kind of felt like they were being disregarded as the world talked about Miami in this league being undefeated. Obviously, you have to talk about them the way that the nation did. But in a lot of bettors' minds, I'm sure in the Akron locker room, we've all thought that Akron was the best team in this league anyway. I think they prove it here. The line's bumped up 7.5 early, 8.5 now, but I think they can win it by 10 plus like they did earlier. It was in late January, that first game. So give me Akron as my leg of the parlay, minus 8.5 tonight in the MAC championship.
Yeah, if you guys are looking in the comment section, Art said that Akron was played early this morning. -7 might have even been last night. So keep an eye on that list there and see some of the line moves. I know which team I'm going with, and you guys could probably guess as well. Adam Trigger, we're going to start getting some of these questions from our chat. Titan CT, who I cannot believe is not a WagerTalk insider. Like I see his name a million times. When we used to do the Hustle show, I thought it was CT's burner account. But Titan CT, 606 St. Louis. St. Louis is a 5-point favorite over Dayton. This was who I wanted to be my next head basketball coach, Trig. But we're going to take Alexander in stride. You were texting me yesterday. Kelly, you should be excited. If you guys missed it, K-State got the coach from Belmont, formerly Lipscomb. So we'll see how that plays out well for me. But I was pretty high on the St. Louis train. But the argument was, well, he hasn't won anything either. So is he going to win today?
I think if I were to take one of those two coaches for a power conference job,
it was a 3-way tie with
I would take Alexander hands down. It wouldn't even be close. From what I've heard about the 3, it wouldn't even be close. It would certainly be Alexander over Schertz. And listen, I just don't know if Calhoun and Schertz, if they're the way they coach and their style translates to power conference basketball. Whereas I think Alexander probably does. That's the only thing. Like, we've seen Calhoun win at Youngstown and at Utah State, I guess a little bit. You know, it's not like Youngstown did anything crazy like in the tournament, but he won consistently. Same thing with Schertz. He's won at Indiana State, Division II and St. Louis. Like they're tremendous coaches, but I don't know. I just feel like you have to have a certain kind of like personality to win also at the absolute top. So like, if you're asking me, I think Kansas State made the right choice. I would have had the Belmont coach, Casey Alexander, rated number one out of those.
I'm gonna defer to just being happy that we have a new coach. Yeah. How about that?
Hey, you didn't go the assistant route. Like, I hate promoting assistants. I hate taking an assistant from another school. So all of those guys, you want to see guys
Bruce
that have
Weber
won.
Retread. You kept saying
or the
that.
retread coach. Yeah.
Stop saying that. Like, yes,
he was a retread.
I was never excited. There was nothing about the Bruce Weber hire that ever excited me. Yay, he won a national championship with Bill Self's players. I mean, I don't know. So, okay, we're gonna get into
for Titan CT though. I'm excited about this game to the point where I'll actually make this my leg of the parlay. I think Dayton's got a chance to win here. So I was at the Dayton St. Louis game, the first meeting back in St. Louis. St. Louis won 102-71. It was the night that Josh Schertz was at the bar after the game pouring shots. It was also the night that the conversation about him taking a bigger job was like started to run rampant. Now, for St. Louis, I do like the fact that he's announced that he's coming back. But what that tells me is the jobs that are out there, Providence, Syracuse, sorry, Kelly, Kansas State, we're just not appealing enough for him to like not chill for at least another year, make his $2 million and then maybe throw his hat into the ring a year from now. Because all of those openings have serious issues that probably need to be overcome that he just didn't want to deal with. So he's going to be back for St. Louis. That's nice for St. Louis. But you know what's not nice for St. Louis, Kel, is this team really hasn't played great basketball in a while now. If you go back to that win for St. Louis, which was as good of a game as I think they've played all season. I mean, that game was over before it even started. I do my like arena tour concourse stuff in the first half of games. And then I watch the second half when I go to a game. And, but by the time I could even like get my like videos done, the game was over. They were up by like 30 in like 2 seconds. Since then, for St. Louis, you've got, you had a couple of decent performances right after that, but there's a run of games where they struggled with Rhode Island, or I'm sorry, they lost to Rhode Island, outright lost to Rhode Island, struggled with Davidson, lost to this Dayton team in Dayton, kind of, were not great against Loyola Chicago. And then I was at the finale of their season at George Mason last weekend, and they got demolished. Wasn't even close. They didn't look interested at all in playing. So what I thought to myself was, well, maybe they were a little bit uninterested at the end of the season. They'll come out in the A-10 tournament and they'll be like guns blazing again. And that wasn't the case either, because George Washington had them on the ropes almost all game. You were actually insanely lucky to cover 6.5 yesterday if you had St. Louis. And, Dayton, if you look at Dayton's sort of arc from that same game, Kelly, that was like rock bottom for them. And they've done nothing but play great basketball since. Even yesterday, I went against Dayton because I liked the spot and the number for the Bonnies. But Dayton was really the better team in that game. And I was a little bit lucky to hold on and cover 6.5 with St. Bonaventure in that one. So I think Dayton's going to give them all they can handle. This is the Arch Baron rivalry. I learned this when I was down in St. Louis. So rivalry between the two teams. I don't know if it's still 6, but even at 5.5, I think Dayton's a good bet. This is going to be a good game.
All right, let's keep it going with these other 1:00 games. We got about 30 minutes until tip-off. Rob Veno, I'm just going to go down right in order. Wisconsin off a nice overtime win there over Illinois yesterday was interesting. I did fade Illinois. Thank you to our friend Trent for giving out Illinois -7.5. So I did get a cash up, but I had no dollars on this money line. I didn't even think that Wisconsin was going to have the opportunity to win. Now here they are, a double-digit underdog, currently 12.5 here on the odds logic screen, 160.5 to Michigan. Is Michigan, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more on the show, especially when I do my breakdown. Michigan is a top 5 power rated team, but are they getting a little too much love, right? Florida's, Dukes of the world. Are we paying a premium at this time of year to bet those teams?
Absolutely. I think that paying the premium on Michigan started a long time ago. Certainly that 0-8 stretch through Big Ten play indicated that they were winning games by double figures and not covering anything. But one of the games, the one that they lost that they remember the most is this Wisconsin game. It was their first loss of the season. They were at home. Wisconsin outscored them. I remember having Michigan team total in that game over 91.5. They got to 88. The other side got to 91. The guard combo of this Wisconsin team, which seems to be taking sort of a seesaw effect. One guy does the bulk of the work one day. This is recent, of course, and the other guy does the bulk of the work the next day. But Boyd and Blackwell continue to be on a roll. The safest way for me to play this game, Kelly, and I did play it, was Michigan team total over 85.5. Michigan did not have a good offensive outing yesterday against Ohio State, just was very unlike Michigan in their misses, in their inability to put points on the board. I can, if I'm going to justify it because of my play, I would justify it by saying it was opening game of the tournament for them. It is Ohio State, Michigan, somewhat of a rivalry. But here, I can see this team looking for some atonement against Wisconsin. I don't want to lay 12.5 because Wisconsin's able to catch fire offensively, but they can be had defensively for sure. Wisconsin's proved that all season long. Great guards team, much different than what they used to be as far as being a offense-minded team first instead of defensive-minded as they have been for most of our lifetimes. Michigan here should score 86. I think you get a bounce-back effect. I think you've got a little bit of revenge in the back of their minds. I think they make more shots than they did yesterday. So for me, that was the safest way to go. Just isolate, play Michigan to score their points. I don't want to trust them to win by 13 just because the point you made was probably the best of all in this contest where you're probably paying a little bit too much for Michigan.
Yeah, and I said it yesterday on X. I had a Buckeye fan ask me, he's like, what do you like today? And I was like, well, actually, I like Michigan. That should bode well for you. And there were points in time I thought they might actually lose that basketball game. Obviously, they pulled away late, but nowhere in any point in time were they going to cover that game. It didn't seem like they couldn't get any fast breaks. There wasn't any like that typical Michigan where I thought, okay, here's where they hit the gas and they're gonna go up double digits. It just did not happen. Trig, a couple other games I want to touch on before we get to some more of these questions, because we have some really great matchups, especially here in the Big 12, the SEC, and the ACC. So we'll get to those here in a second. But first, I got to talk about this Florida Gators team. I had them last year to win the whole thing. And I had a couple people ask me if I thought they were going to run it back in December when I bet Iowa State to win the whole thing. And I said, no, I'm not sure this is a complete team. And I look wrong right now. This looks like a very complete Florida team. They are playing great basketball, but again, did not cover yesterday, depending on, I think the closing number was 11.5. I didn't get a chance to watch the game, saw the final result. Break down Vanderbilt, Florida for us. Vanderbilt currently 7.5 point underdog, total 160.5.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about, I've seen a lot of games in person, a lot of teams in person, most of the top 25. The as impressive of a performance that I saw in person with my own two eyes this year was Florida against Arkansas a couple weeks ago, when they just absolutely dragged out like an Arkansas team that I think is also really good. I've come on this show, my show with Rob. I can't even count how many times I've sort of talked up this Arkansas team, and Florida just absolutely abused them in that game. Now, I've kind of said this before about the top teams. I never really know how to treat the very, very top teams this weekend, because right now, especially for a Florida team, Kelly, that won the NCAA tournament last year, this weekend is not the of utmost importance. Like it's nice. I'm sure they'd love the trophy, right? I'm sure they'd love to cut the nets down again. But the main concern for Florida is clearly another, repeating as NCAA champion. So the reason I bring that up is not because I don't think, it's not that I don't think the players care or that they care about the result of the games. It's that you're always being asked to cover a premium number against teams that are also pretty good. So, you talk about yesterday. Yeah, like I didn't have any interest in betting against Florida yesterday, but I also thought that number was quite large for Kentucky, and they ended up staying within the number. And I kind of feel that way here. 8, 7.5, 8. I think I even saw 8.5s at one point with Vandy. Like, I think this is a good Vandy team that's also gotten a little bit healthy in the backcourt. They were thin at the guard position for a while, but Duke Miles has since come back. And it's like, this Vanderbilt team for a stretch, go back to mid-January when they were still undefeated and they had all the hype surrounding them. They took Florida back in, on January 17th, right to the brink, 98-94. And I really wouldn't be that surprised if this game plays out similar. Like, if you even get the slightest sort of not focused from the Gators, they'll be on the rope to lose this game. Even if they are focused and Vandy plays their game, like, Vandy's good enough to at least hang around. So this is a scenario where I don't think I'd really want to be stuck like laying 8.5, especially knowing that Florida knows that they have to come out and play again tomorrow if they win. I just don't know if you get that, like, go for the jugular, step on the throat moment from Florida here, just knowing that, a win is good enough to get them to tomorrow. And a win really doesn't change their standing either way. So lean Vanderbilt here.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and pivot. We're going to talk about a game that is an Arts list, and it was one that was on my long list as well. That is Virginia plus 7.5. And I did not mean to put Trig on by himself. I'm still working on this producer thing. Okay, guys. So we're going to take Virginia here over the Blue Devils. If you guys are noticing a theme, we're saying, hey, this team's overvalued. This team's overvalued. And oh, by the way, this team is overvalued. And that team would be the Duke Blue Devils. I get it. Number one on KenPom, number one in everybody's power ratings because of that dynamic defense. They like to play slow. They're a lot more methodical than we've seen from Duke teams in the past. Typically, that was a Virginia team, right? And they still do play at a very low tempo, making points at a premium here. So I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. I'm going to take that top 25 defense in Virginia to keep it closer than the 7.5 suggest. Shout out to Art DeCesar for putting me onto that one. I don't want to take any credit for it. So if you guys are looking to fade me, maybe don't fade that one because it's not from me. I don't want to take credit for it, but I do like Virginia. So parlay is Akron, Dayton, and Virginia. For those that have been playing the full court press parlay, good luck to us. We need to hit one of these. And oh, by the way, speaking of hitting, I can't believe I've been promoting everything else on this show except for tomorrow's Selection Sunday show. We're going to be here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern, right before the show tips off on, I don't even know what channel it's on. We're going to have to figure that out. I got a new TV in my office so I can watch it and react with you guys. We're going to be going over all sorts of things. We're going to talk about who the number one seeds are, what they got wrong, where some of these seedings are going to, have us circled. We're going to be looking for maybe second round matchups as well. Teams that we want to bet on early. We're going to have the odds logic screen open and kind of live reacting. Me, Adam Trigger, Rob Veno, Steve Merrill, and Brian Power. I'm going to do my best to steer the ship. Trig,
I mean, you're going to get my live reaction to where Sienna gets put. So where I'm going to try to go in a few days. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. If we're not a 15 seed, I'm going to be pissed. Because they might put us at 16, and we should be at least a 15.
I know you guys.
I expect to be a 15 in Philly or Buffalo. That's what I expect.
No one cares about Sienna. Actually, here's a good point. Trig got dragged in my group chat, guys, by a guy named Joey Cheese over his Sienna take the other day versus UConn. So there we go. That's where we're going. Rob Veno's backyard. We're going to talk UConn, St. John's, 6:30 p.m. tonight on Fox. St. John's, Rick Pitino, we all know. He is very well known in the Big East tournament for how well he does against the spread, but he is a 3.5 point underdog here on the odds logic screen. Total 138.5. Rob Veno, I'm going to let you take the floor on this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so sure this game sees 139, Kelly. And I'm basically, I like to play overs, but these two defenses have been so good as of late. And it's interesting with UConn. I think we've kind of said it all season long, but it seems like they are capable of flipping a switch. Now, they've played without Jalen Stewart, so I won't say 1 through 9, which is my customary line here, but 1 through 8, they're as talented as anybody in the country. It hasn't shown up in season-long ATS results. Kind of seems like the team was disinterested with the miserable structure of the Big East Conference this year. There's just nobody good other than St. John's, nobody to pique UConn's interest other than St. John's. And they certainly piqued their interest last time because UConn lost the first meeting and St. John's got to 40 points the second time. That was it. So St. John's, after that game, Rick Pitino took the high road. And I think he's had his focus on this game ever since, or this potential for a rematch ever since. So you're going to see a lot of defense in my estimation. They're both playing lights out from that perspective. Where side is concerned, what really opens my eyes last game was the way, Zuby Ejiofor is one of my favorite players in the country, and he was dominated by Terrace Reed in that game. You don't see Ejiofor get absolutely annihilated by an opposing center the way Reed annihilated him in that game. Probably a little bit of revenge there on his part, personal revenge to try and, make a name for himself again against Reed. But it could be that when Reed's interested, he's just the better player. I think UConn's the better team, Kelly, overall. My advice, and I'm not, I love to play head coach here behind my desk in southeastern Pennsylvania. If I was Rick Pitino and he went to this last year, boy, I would try pace. Because neither team is just going to come down and set up against these opposing half-court defenses and score a lot of points. For me, this game would be under 138.5. And again, like I say, under doesn't come out of my mouth all that often, but this one should be defense-oriented.
All right, Trig, we're going to go over to the Big 12 because this line...
Can I just say something about UConn quick?
No, the reason we already
I'm going to say
you in the group chat
because Joey Cheat. The reason he was annoyed with me is because I said UConn just an atrocious team, and so I'm just going to come on here like this team is awful. I'm sorry, compared to where they are ranked, this team sucks. Okay, if you look at the KenPom top 10, I'm going to use KenPom because that's what everyone can reference: Duke, Michigan, Arizona, Florida, Houston, Iowa State, Illinois, Purdue, UConn, and Michigan State. UConn is far worse than those 9 teams. Like far worse. And the only reason that we're going to find out, but we're not going to find out. We're not going to find out tonight because St. John's isn't any good. They can't hit any shots. So UConn very well might win this game. It's not a bad matchup for them. I was at the first meeting when St. John's ball pressured them to death and won that game. Well, UConn blew them out in the second meeting. The first meeting was closer, but St. John's really pressured them and got after them. But even if that doesn't happen tonight, the reason I'm going on this mini rant right now is UConn is going to get an insanely high seed, and they are going to be a team you want to fade this coming week because they are getting so much credit for the name on the front of the jersey. Like this team is nothing like the UConn teams of past years. I'm not saying they won't beat a 15 seed, maybe even get to the Sweet 16, but you will have a great chance to fade UConn in the tournament. And I would play all UConn fade stuff, not to make the round of 32, not to make the Sweet 16. I would ladder fade UConn. I will be shocked if they're a part of the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. There you go.
Inevitably, here comes that UConn Siena first round matchup.
I hope it would.
More.
Give me that in Buffalo, New York. I'll be the first person there.
That's what I want to happen. For my entertainment purposes only, I would love.
It's what it should be. UConn, Siena, and Buffalo or Philly, 2 versus 15. That's what it should be.
Listen, I'm here for it. So I'll cheer for UConn today so they get the 2 seed because I think if they lose today, they won't get the 2 seed. But that's a whole nother argument for another day. We now have to move to the best conference. That would be the Big 12. And I was mind blown this morning. I got up, I turned on my odds logic screen. I was getting some work done early. I was going back and forth with Ski Profit. We were arguing like we do every single morning. And I said, how the hell is UConn a 2.5-point underdog? What am I missing here? I was on Iowa State yesterday. That was like my pretty much lone bright spot. God, I can't believe they didn't win that game. But that took a lot out of Arizona. Now they are a 2.5-point favorite over, a team that got to arguably just coast past Kansas. Trig, break down this Big 12 matchup for me, unless you want me to pass it over to Rob.
No, I'll take this one because I know Rob's going to have more thoughts on some of the bigger ones coming up. Obviously, tremendous game yesterday between Arizona and Iowa State. And I guess my first thought when I'm kind of looking at my number, which is suggesting Houston just on the number here. And I was like, that might not be the worst call here because Kel, it's going to be tough. In my opinion, it's going to be much tougher for Arizona to turn around and play this game than it is Houston, who kind of just cruised past Kansas. As you said, it was an easier game. Whereas Arizona was in like an absolute dogfight. That felt like felt like a Final Four game, at times, and then to come out and win that game. The problem for me with Houston, though, is something that Rob and I have talked about quite a bit this year. They just, even though ratings-wise, they're still right up there, top 5 in a lot of the analytics sites for defensive efficiency. When I watch them, they just don't feel like as good of a defensive team as they did last year. And then, if you can't just defend your way to a win over Arizona. You really do need the offense and the shot making. And I just, again, Houston, somehow they rate out high in these efficiency ratings for offense, but I don't think that this is an offensive team that is going to win that type of game with Arizona. So even though I see some merit to the spot here for Houston catching Arizona after that incredible game they just played against Iowa State, I just think Arizona is probably too good. So it's going to be a pass for me. Certainly an intriguing game. Someone said I'm dead wrong in the chat. Dead wrong about what? You got to be more specific. I said a lot of stuff so far. Kelly's muted.
We're not talking about UConn anymore.
I just want to know what I'm dead wrong about.
Rob Veno, our producer, Chris, actually, Chris isn't a producer. I don't even know what Chris's job title is anymore. Chris asked for me to have a nice breakdown of some of these games so we could clip and put them on the YouTube channel for later. And Trig just completely disregarded that by saying, I don't really have an opinion on this game. That's fine.
I didn't know we were doing that for Saturday. He's working on Saturday. Look at Chris. He's clipping on Saturday. That's impressive stuff. I'll be better going forward.
Chris is like me. We work every single day. Except I forgot to work yesterday and I got yelled at by Johnny. But that being said, I was going to Matt Rife. I had other things in my brain. And I had to be deposed. Don't ask. So Rob Veno, can you please give us an opinion on this Big 12 game? Because Trig just pushed it to the wayside.
Yeah, we won't stand for any slander of Chris on this show. That's for sure. And I'll tell you what, Kelly, I'm going to give my opinion, and Ski might not talk to me for a month after I give it. So you probably know where I'm going. The game might have been draining for Arizona. Obviously, it was a tough win. But there's just no way that you're going to convince me that Houston's going to come back and shoot 3-pointers 2 days in a row the way they shot them yesterday. 10 of 18, 56% from 3. Sharp, Flemings, and Sinak. That trio goes 9 of 13. Just, it's not going to happen back-to-back days for Houston. And they really did nothing else well. What they do well offensively generally is play inside the 3-point arc, and they only shot 34% in that game against Kansas. Couldn't make anything close. Didn't necessarily crush them on the boards. And again, Houston's so predicated on getting second chance points. You just don't get those against Arizona. I go back to watching that first game against Arizona where I had Houston, and I never felt like Houston was the better team in that game. They would make runs. They got behind quick early. Then they would make a run. Then they would get behind again. Then they would make a run. Then they would get behind again. They could just never get over the hump. 2.5 is probably a really good number because Arizona could win a 2-point game, but I can't get to Houston because I don't think they're going to shoot threes the way they did yesterday. I don't think they're going to get as many second chance points or second chances at the rim as they usually get. And Arizona, to me, just all season long has been that team. And I can't compliment, again, their point guard Bradley enough. He just goes unheralded across the nation. So for me, it would be Arizona -2.5. Chris, you've got a good clip there. I think Arizona wins on that premise.
Okay, see, I think you're going to talk me off Houston. It looked so just come on, man. It is just come on, Kelly. You want to bet Houston. It was one of those that was calling my name that I said, all right, I got to take a step back here. We got lots of comments today. And
I got something you can clip. How about I showed up early, jumped in the live chat, wrote up Yale Cornell for people, and there's over, and there's 91 points at halftime. How about you clip that?
All right, Mr. 8. No, I am here. Trig is not my sibling, as according to the comment section. I am just here to keep Trig humble off his 8-0, right? I know he's on a hot streak. I'm
not even not being humble. I just think UConn sucks. That's nothing to do with being humble.
The genie bottle is open.
People in the comment section are Trig, take a Valium. I'm dying. I am just I got hair jokes. People are Kelly and Trig siblings.
I did go coffee. I did go energy drink coffee this morning, which was probably a bad decision. Probably only needed one.
I had a coffee this morning. Brett made me a coffee, and it and he put butter in it. So there's like butter chunks in the bottom of my coffee because I let it get cold. And I'm like, are you saying I need extra fats? Probably. And also, we've got a couple more games to talk about here before we end the show, but everybody's loving it. We're having a great time. One more energy drink.
No.
Let's go, Adam. People are loving you. Okay. One of the games that was on Art to Caesar's list, and you guys can tell me who wants to take it, but Chris wants this one clipped as well. Kennesaw State, Louisiana Tech. I already bet Kennesaw State -1.5 because as I've said 1,000 times on the show, I don't try to differentiate on this sharp list. I feel like anytime I do, I end up costing myself money. So I just play it. If I agree with it, I play it for a little bit extra if I have no opinion. And of course, I don't have an opinion on Kennesaw State, Louisiana Tech. So Trig,
Rob,
or
that's
Chris.
Rob.
Oh, you want me to go
That's
to
a
Rob?
Rob
Fine,
question.
I'm going to Rob.
Yeah.
I want to Rob. Well, Rob's just going to be on our entire YouTube channel today. Rob, you have the floor. I think this one's up to 2.5 now. So talk to me about Kennesaw State as the favorite.
Yeah, and I'll try to be as non-bitter as I can be here because Kennesaw State ripped up my Sam Houston to win the CUSA title ticket yesterday. But I had some reservations going in. We talked about this on the show. I was a little bit concerned about Kennesaw State's ability on the boards. I was a little bit concerned about Kennesaw State's, not necessarily the pace because Sam Houston would play with them, but their ability to defend at times. Didn't think Sam Houston matched up really well with them, but still thought they were the better team. They weren't. Now they come here and face Louisiana Tech, who surprisingly enough, guys, at least to me, is in this spot to begin with. It's a team that couldn't play offense all season long. Certainly loves to win games in the 60s, where Kennesaw State would love to win games in the higher, high 70s, 80s, even more than that. So it's a contrast in styles. Kennesaw State has a lot. It doesn't show up in the numbers. You really have to watch them play. And Kennesaw is an interesting team really quickly, guys, because they were amidst a little bit of a scandal earlier this year where they lost a player for, betting. So Kennesaw State, where they are right now, really a tribute to their depth of rotation, their constant energy level. I don't fear this team being fatigued because Kennesaw State just comes at you in waves. I don't know if Louisiana Tech, guys, can hold up offensively against them. Kennesaw State gets out early. It's been a really good first half, like quick burst team this year. And if they get that first punch in, I'm not so sure Louisiana Tech has enough offense to come back. They've shown offensive capability kind of out of left field inside this tournament, but 3 in 3 days against this team, I think I would lean Kennesaw here. Even though they beat me yesterday, they're probably the better team, and the higher scoring this game gets, the better you like them. So the 142.5 might come into play here as far as an over is concerned. But if I had my preference, I would say Kennesaw State -2.5.
All right, let's go. I can't name a player on either team. We know that. Butter in your coffee is a throwback. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I'm sad I don't get to drink the rest of it. Trig really wants to talk about Wichita State, Tulsa, and I'm going to say no, not yet. If we have time, we got 7 minutes or so left because we haven't talked about the other Big Ten game. Purdue, UCLA. A lot of guys in the comment section saying they like UCLA today. A lot of people saying they like UCLA to spring the upset I saw early on. Lots of guys agreeing with you, Trig. UConn does suck. Yeah, Trig, stay hot. There you go. Trig, let's see if you can stay hot here. Give me a little bit of a breakdown. Purdue, UCLA here. Current line, Purdue, 7.5 point favorite, 144.5.
2 games today, Kelly, that I would have absolutely loved if not for a key injury. One of those was Penn, which we talked about earlier with Ethan Roberts. The other one is UCLA because Tyler Bilodeau is probably not going to play. And I think if he was playing, I would be all over UCLA at pretty much. My number was always going to like UCLA pretty much no matter what it was. But man, I feel like he's been so key to, to just what they've done throughout February. Of course, UCLA, typical Mick Cronin team. It was, just that there's been stretches where it looked like they were a full sort of sell this year. And, they've battled back. They've started to play their best ball. Donovan Dent has been incredible. And then yesterday, Bilodeau leaves with an injury, and he's more than likely out for this game, probably the rest of the weekend. Now, the other thing you can look at, I guess the flip side of that is he really barely played yesterday. I think only played about 10 minutes. And UCLA didn't really seem to miss a beat against Michigan State. Won the game 88-84. Dent had 23 points. There's a point in time earlier this year where Donovan Dent looked like a shell of himself. And I think it was because Mick Cronin sort of had the reins on him. They really weren't letting him play the way he was allowed to play at New Mexico under Richard Pitino last year. But it almost seems like Cronin sort of adapted to Dent. The pick and roll has been great. And so again, like I love UCLA in this spot. I haven't bet it yet because I can't get over the fact that Bilodeau is probably out. Well, he is out, and what that would do to this matchup. But I really haven't liked Purdue in a while now. I still think they're overvalued, especially after yesterday's win. So I'm looking for I'm looking toward the UCLA side, and this is one that may get added. I got to just kind of see how the market treats this.
All right, Trig, you have a 5% play up on WagerTalk. As I mentioned, you went 8-0 yesterday. I was
not yesterday. Last 3 days.
Last 3 days. Sorry.
Yeah.
Last 3 days. Trig went 8-0. It pains me to say that. I mean, I know I'm supposed to be happy for you, but I'm like, why is Trig 8-0 and I'm not 8-0?
Especially when you can look at the plays at any time. You don't even have to buy them. You own the company.
I'm very aware. I have the access to be able to see. All jokes aside, Trig, let everybody know what you've got going on over today at WagerTalk.
Yeah, so I have a 5% play. It's the only thing up right now. I will more than likely add something else. The second thing that I add is going to go up on Sportsmemo for $7. So we got that promo today. I think there was a coupon code, which I guess I'll let Kelly add after that because I don't remember exactly what it was for Sportsmemo, but check that out because Gianni said he's going to have something over there. I'm sure Rob will as well. The one I talked about earlier on the show, Dayton plus 5.5 is a lead. It's close. That's part of the parlay, which we'll recap at the end of the show. But yeah, there's one game I really love today. That's a 5%er, and that is up on my page at WagerTalk. Oh, and Rob and I have this great special that you should check out rest of season and the 3-day special.
Okay, then I'll let Rob take that one. Rob can tell me what he's got going on over at WagerTalk and Sportsmemo, and then also let everybody know what you guys have going on between now through the national championship game.
All right, shout out to Ralph Michaels, who a couple of weeks ago actually showed me how to put a play up at Sportsmemo. I do have a play up and available at Sportsmemo right now, so you can take advantage of that deal. Also, for Adam and myself, it's been running for the majority of this season, but it's a dual package called Double the CBB Firepower. It's our full court press package. You get every single play Adam releases on a daily basis. You'll get every play I release on a daily basis. I always say it's a nice mixture of a package because Adam comes from a side perspective and I generally come from a totals perspective. So you get a really good mix inside it. You can buy a 3-day purchase. As Adam said, if you were to purchase today, you would get Monday as a skip day and you would get the plays Tuesday. So it would be Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, or the better way to go, probably because these plays come fast and furious at this time of year, is just to get the extended package all the way through the national championship game. Kelly, I believe I heard $198 for a cost on that. I'm not sure, but check in with the WagerTalk office. You can certainly purchase the double the CBB Firepower package throughout the national championship game.
Yes, you guys, $198. Or you guys can head over to wagertalk.com for $149 and get any other handicapper that you guys want through the national championship. Just got to decide who you guys want to tail. Sounds like the full court breast guys have been on a heater. They're going to be back with me tomorrow, along with Steve Merrill, Brian Power. We're going to be here at around 5:45.
Can I read the parlay quick? Can I read the parlay one more time? They like it.
I wasn't going to tell anybody to come watch us for Selection Sunday or anything like that. Go ahead.
All right. So Akron minus 8.5, Dayton plus 5.5, Virginia plus 7.5. Those were as of the time we locked the last one in. If you have to move the numbers, some of them have moved. It's fine. That's the 3-team parlay. Okay. Sorry, Kel. Finish up.
I need Virginia to win this game outright today. All jokes aside, tomorrow, Selection Sunday, going to be a great one. Me, Rob Veno, Brian Power, Steve Merrill, and of course, the guy who is just this guy. Yes, Trig. Trig, that guy. The comment section is loving Trig right now. We're going to break down all of the lines as they start to come out and populate on the odds logic screen. Hopefully the guys over at Superbook are on top of it. We'll also have DraftKings, FanDuel, Circa as those start to populate and say, hey, here's who we're looking at early. This is a game I've got circled because I'm expecting this one to get bet up or bet down a certain way. So lots of insight. And I know a lot of people want to talk about USIDR, right? Sean Michael said he was going to drop 100 gator hatchlings off at my house if I didn't talk about this game. We're not talking about it because it doesn't matter yet. We've got to beat DR, then win the whole thing. We at least beat Canada. And that, to me, was enough. Last night, I was very, very happy to just beat Canada and one more little thing. That's all. We will see you guys tomorrow, 5:45 Eastern, right here, WagerTalk YouTube channel. Let's cash this parlay today, boys. Let's have a great Saturday headed into Selection Sunday. We'll see you guys tomorrow.